Hello everyone, we're here. We're leaving the theater now, and we just watched Transformers 1. Transformers 1. Not doing so hot at the box office. Sorry, that was really loud. I should have said that more quietly. Not doing so hot at the box office. But it should be doing better, honestly, because that was a dang good movie. That was like, I think everything I've ever wanted from a Transformers movie and more. And everything probably that you could ever want from a Transformers movie and more. That's how good it is. But it's a shame because apparently no one's really going to watch it. I will say that I have only seen a little bit of the Michael Bay Transformers movies. I think I've only seen like one. And I think that that was a preferred experience for me to that. Although technically this is also a Michael Bay Transformers movie because Michael Bay did produce it. So his fingerprint is still somewhere on this, but not in the same way of the other live action films. Why do I love this film? Well, without getting into spoilers, I feel like the reason why I really love it as a Transformers movie and as something that is a part of that lore, because it actually connects to the lore in a way that feels quite meaningful, and it doesn't only connect to it, it adds to it. So because this is actually adding more context, more history, and we also get to be on Cybertron, which is pretty cool to be there and see how the world works a little bit and see the story of how our characters, how some of our major characters, Megatron, Optimus Prime, came to be who they are. And even though you know where the story's going, it really is the journey that makes it rewarding. And that is something that I have quite enjoyed watching in the film. So I really liked that element of it. I liked how it fits into the lore and that it adds to it. I liked the character stories, their evolution, the voice acting is really good in it. It makes me really nervous because I feel like this is actually a movie we could build more of these films if we wanted to, and I would actually be really interested to see where they take it next if they wanted to follow this movie up. But I also am a little sad because I don't think that's going to happen with the money that they're making right now for this film, because it's just not doing very well. And they have a lot of big names in it. Chris Hemsworth is in it as Orion, who is obviously our Optimus Prime, and Scarlet Johansson is in it, and I just don't know how we gonna pay those bills and see this as a profitable project. The animation in it also just fits so well. One of the things that I feel like is kind of weird is that the Cybertronians have teeth, and I guess they eat energon, so maybe you need teeth to do that, but it just was visually weird to me. I mean, they're not individual teeth at least, so it wasn't super weird, but you know when they like have their masks on, I was like, oh, this feels more comfortable. I don't like when I see their mouths. Maybe a little like, oh, I don't know about that. The one thing that I will say is while Bumblebee is great in it, and I love Key as Bumblebee, he's so good. He fits so perfectly. All the voice acting in this fits so perfectly. And I love seeing Jon Hamm. I just love seeing when Jon Hamm is in anything. I just love Jon Hamm. So that's also nice. But the thing with Bumblebee is that we're not getting a ton of character evolution for him. It's not like as much an origin story for Bumblebee, although they do talk a little bit about the origins of the character, and obviously, you know, the joke that you guys saw in the trailer with him wanting to make Badass-atron his nickname, and obviously we know he's going to be Bumblebee. There were also a lot of emotional moments in this film for me, but not even in terms of as much the story, although that was an element of it. Obviously the relationship between our two protagonists here who end up becoming Optimus Prime and Megatron, that was something that pulled at my heartstrings a little bit. But just hearing some of the voice work, which is intertwined with some of the story that we get, was really moving. I don't want to spoil anything for you in terms of that, so I'll just say...
Sorry, spoilers. Optimus is a good guy and Megatron's a bad guy.
Oh yeah, it's not in relation to that. It's in relation to another character that appears in this. I don't want to say anything else because it's kind of a spoiler. Yeah, but it's not in relation to those characters per se, but yeah, there are some moments when we're just talking about the history of the world and the lore of Cybertron that moved me just in seeing the way that it was portrayed and how well it was done. And it's just like, it's clearly a project of love, I feel like, for a lot of people that are involved in it. So that was really nice to see. I will say I did have one bone to pick with this film. One bone.
What was that?
That I feel like the story was a little bit predictable. And obviously there's going to be elements of it that are predictable because we know the story of everything. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's no way for us to avoid that because we know so much about the Transformers already.
I mean, it's a prequel. 2, it's a story that we know that basically is defined by its characters. So we know how these characters are going to end up because, like I mentioned, Optimus is like pure good guy. Megatron is the evil guy. Yeah,
it wasn't in terms of their evolutions. That wasn't the thing I felt was too obvious.
But I'm just saying, but going into the movie, you already know all of these things. So
you know where you're going to end up.
You can kind of see where the end point is.
But I will say I just feel the villain of the movie felt too easily identifiable and exposed.
Yeah.
That was my only thing. I felt like there was a bit more of a tell, but I think it also has to do with the fact that we already know everything. And also, we've seen stories like this play out how many times?
Also, I don't think it's really a spoiler, but it's like you'll know when you know. But I'm pretty sure it was when his super evil-looking henchwoman appeared on screen.
I mean, by that point, you're already going to know, in my opinion. Because it was like, as soon as this character appeared, I was just like, oh, that's going to be the antagonist of the story. But that's always a tell, isn't it? When you have someone that's working, or that like even has anything evil looking about them as well as another tell in stories like that. Like, this isn't a spoiler for this film, but in Monsters, Inc., it's kind of a similar thing.
Yeah.
Although that twist is at least a little bit more unexpected because at least even though he looks like an evil character, he is a monster and so is everyone. So you're kind of like, well, he's probably just like a monster. And then when that twist comes, that one's actually more unexpected than this film. This film, it was like you can see it a mile away. So I wish that hadn't been quite as obvious, but that's, like I said, my only bone to pick, and it's a very small bone to pick. Ultimately, we're not here for the twists and turns of this film anyways. Like you said, we are here for the characters' evolution and their story and just getting to know them, and also to see all the characters play off each other, which is really fun. And there's a lot of other characters that appear from Transformers in this. So if you're a Transformers fan, there are so many characters in here that you're going to recognize and have fun with. Getting to see some of the things that they get up to or who they ally with, it's very surprising and very, very enjoyable. And it does provide, I think, a lot of depth, especially for Megatron. Like, I don't know. I've always obviously been a bit of a Megatron fan. Gotta say, sorry Optimus, you're great too. But yeah, I feel like Megatron was just really well portrayed here, and it was nice to see as someone that really enjoys that character. And to see all the little surprises along the way they put in there for all of the fans. I think overall, I would give this movie honestly, I feel like it was pretty perfect. I want to give it a 5 out of 5 based on what I was expecting from this movie and what it delivered and just how good it was. I don't really have any actual complaints about it other than the, kind of telling who the villain is early on. But that's not a problem with the movie. It's just a thing that I observed that it would have been cool if there were more unexpected things, but it's hard to do in a prequel, so it's not a legitimate complaint. So I'm still going to give it a 5 out of 5. And I think you should go see it because it really does need a boost at the box office, and it deserves it, I think.
Yeah, for what it does, especially, animated Transformers movie, I think it did everything it needed to do. And I enjoyed it pretty thoroughly all the way through.
What would you give it?
I'd give it 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5?
Yeah.
What are you withholding?
I think there could have been some things that could have been trimmed up a little bit.
I felt like it was pretty tight, personally.
No, I just thought that there were some bits that went on a little too long at certain segments. Like, you're about to talk about a film that we also watched right after, The Wild Robot. And I thought that film felt tight all the way through. There were points in this movie that I felt like, okay, we're still doing this.
Well, here's the thing. I feel like Wild Robot actually felt longer to me. Is it longer? I think they're about the same runtime. But I feel like Wild Robot had more in it. So it felt longer, but not in a bad way. It just felt longer because there was more happening. So there was more that happened in the story. Whereas this, there was less that happened in the story, but I didn't feel like moments overstayed their welcome. That's what I would say.
Wild Robot's actually shorter.
Oh, it's actually shorter. It felt longer to me.
By 2 minutes.
It felt by 2 minutes. So they're basically the same length.
Yeah.
It felt longer to me, but not in a bad way. And this didn't feel like it dragged. But I see what you're saying, where there could be opportunities maybe to trim it up. Personally, I feel like it's a great length for what you get. The dialogue is so fun. That's my favorite part about it.
But I mean, I guess like I'm trying to look for reasons why, but to give it a 4 out of 5. But Wild Robot was a 5 out of 5. Sorry, spoiler. Still watch the review. But Wild Robot was a 5 out of 5, and that felt more fulfilling than this film. So I don't know if giving them both 5s makes sense in my brain.
Got you. Yeah, I would say that this is a 5 out of 5 in a different way. Entertainment-wise, I was very entertained. It played with my heartstrings a little bit, but Wild Robot is on a different level in the sense that it's art and this is entertainment.
Okay.
That's where I stand on it, but both are good. You should see both. Do what we did. Go to the movies and see 2 movies in one day. It'll be great. All right, well, I've talked at length about this, so I think that's all for this one, friends. Let me know your thoughts, and I will probably be following this up with a full spoiler review where we can talk about all the story and the characters and everywhere that we went and all that good stuff. So join me there. I'll see you next time, and until then, friends, stay nerdy. Bye!